Hello, everybody. My name is T. I am joined by Emil right now, and we're going to do an interview about Daisy Squad, how their upcoming WL season's like, some of the changes that's going on in CTWL, as well as we're going to talk a little bit about Emil. I know he's starting a lot to do with YouTube and Twitch, so we're going to talk about that. But first, we'll talk about the thing that you guys care about the most, which is WL. So yeah, this past season, you guys have actually you guys won Division One of CTV1. So with that with that such big accomplishment, how have you guys treated the past off season?
It's honestly been a pretty inactive offseason. We have spent a lot of time discussing what's going to happen for the season, mainly because Russo, last time Russo was in the States for his school, he wasn't able to play online at all since his internet wouldn't connect to other people. But that's something we had to work out before we confirmed our participation. We spent most of the time, well, most of the offseason was us doing CT Lounge, CT Worldwides, a lot of time trials, and we only started discussing WL when Russo said that he would be moving back to the States for school towards the end of August.
Oh, okay, so is that like so it was just like kind of in the unbalance beforehand because he's like such a huge part of your team, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right. So, I guess also I noticed that you guys only didn't have that many changes within your roster. I think you just only added Matt, I believe.
We correct. We added Matt and we also have Aruba. He may occasionally play, but he's mainly in our registry just because we're cool with him. He's cool with us. We figured we'd have him for Daisy Squad.
Right, that's nice. So, I'm assuming that like it's mainly so I guess for like the roles, it's like the same as before, like with I don't know who's actually bagging. So can you just explain what the roles are defined in the team?
In like okay, so myself, Luke, and Russo are the main front runners. Obviously, I usually get carried off in the back because I'm not too well with my items. Matt and Sammy are more of schlaggers or people to help defend our running spots. They occasionally get up to the front as well because item luck is usually very RNG and usually benefits other people at certain times. And Merc is our main bagger for this season.
All right, so I guess you guys have a very interesting division. I feel like you only have one returning team, which is besides you guys, which is Final Stand, who've been also a pretty big staple, and then you guys, I believe, have you have what is it? You have Maximum Likelihood. You have I think what is it? PP Squad or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think the last one, oh no, you have two more. You guys have Soft Gold and Extend Ash. So, what are your thoughts on their team, the other teams in division?
I think that Final Stand has an extremely good roster this season with a
Yeah.
lineup of Kirito, Flary, Ruby, and Leops. They can do extreme damage in this division without any doubt whatsoever. They're a very good candidate to win this division with Flary, as mentioned in the WL prediction stream, a good candidate for the division MVP.
Okay.
As for the other teams, they do have a chance to fight for top spots in the div, especially since playoffs are going to be a part of the season.
All right. Last
And
season, you guys didn't have playoffs, right?
correct, there were no playoffs last season.
All right.
I feel like SOP Gold have a pretty good chance of contending in playoffs with an LU of Mike, Kenny, Mace, Trevor. I know they all have pretty good chemistry. Kenny to Mace, Mike to Trevor, and they can all connect real easily. Whereas teams like Extend Ash, I'm not too sure about how well they'll be able to contend in D1, but I know they can pull together some LUs that can definitely fight off some other teams such as Mal, Sop Gold, potentially Final Stand, and even Daisy Squad if everything goes correctly. And for Mal, obviously Mal has Asmax, they have Picky, They have roast as well. All those players can do well with situational luck. Asmac usually does end up doing well. Only has a few wars where things go south, but that's a very rare occasion.
All right, how do you think you guys will do?
I think we're either going to get second in the division or grab another division win, just knowing how things have been going since we have myself, Rousseau, and Luke. People have said, like, I feel like the only reason that this randomizer WL rule was put into place was because of us last season due to the amount of broken daisy tracks that we had, even though there were rare occasions where we would win the track picks for every war. So it's really good that we're branching out into more aspects of CTGP outside of the limited 15 or 20 tracks that we would see across a whole season. I like the concept that we're going to be seeing more tracks outside of the usual track pool because then it gives people a better chance to learn tracks instead of just sticking with the same 15 over and over and over again.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of mixed opinions on it. I know a lot of I know a lot of the higher division players really like this change, but not so much the lower end division players. Do you think that might be like just a case of lower end, like just like the different styles of play? Because I feel like a lot of higher end players are more comfortable with every track, while a lot of the lower division players are just more comfortable with one specific track that they just practice over and over again.
I'm not too sure because when I've watched gameplay of lower divisions in CTs as of last season, I saw a lot more track variety than in the
Mhm.
top divisions. Because when you're getting into top divisions, if you're going, I feel like Daisy Squad and Final Stand had the biggest pool of tracks to pick from last season, even though we barely ever got to use a lot of them, which was kind of unfortunate. But I saw tracks that would never be picked in CTD1 played in the lower divisions, such as Big Express City and more tracks. I don't remember what all the tracks that were picked down there, but I know Big Express City was a big one that was picked.
Yeah, that was a big one. Why would you think like stuff like Big Express City wouldn't be picked in like higher divisions?
I feel like people feel it is too situational towards the end of the track because the end of the track has first a giant grass cut. Bill goes through it if you jump into it. If you dodge there, you basically get an instant win. Along with that, there is a shortcut at the end. You have to hop over a fence. If you have a mushroom, you're basically going to be gaining at least 3 or 4 spots, like at most, if the pack is close enough.
So like it's kind of like a coin flip at that situation where at that huge
Essentially.
cut. Okay, yeah. So I know a lot of people were like I remember specifically a lot of people were complaining about Sparkly Road being like picked whenever 2-3 came and stuff like that. So I
Mhm.
think it's actually kind of an interesting change. I personally think that I was initially against it. I thought it was kind of like I thought it was like very like I thought it was kind of like really weird, but I think like if people kind of practice it over and over again, like and they have like a week to practice it, so I think it'll have some more exciting matches. I feel like they'll be a lot more closer as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess that was actually one of my points there, but you just jumped in right into it, so we don't have to really talk about that. Um, so I guess we can talk a little bit more about uh, I guess something actually I like to talk to you about. You're known more for CTs than regular tracks, and there's kind of like this huge stigma that like CTs are like a lot like CTs are kind of hard to get into because there's so many tracks, and the people who've played like CTs for years have such an advantage over the uh, players who are like trying to get into CTs who have pretty good item usage but are kind of like overwhelmed by the amount of CTs that they have to learn. Do you think that's a huge issue, or do you think that's like if people just like work on it a little bit that they'll eventually like get there and like within like a few like within a season or something?
I feel like it wouldn't take very long at all considering the standard of driving that you need to master regular tracks. I've seen gameplay in Division 1 that's not Russo X's cuz Russo has good lines on regs. I can see top level lines from him most of the time.
Hmm.
But from what I've seen on CTs compared to regs, you don't necessarily need the best lines to succeed on regs as in comparison to CTs. But if you can get the driving aspect down on CTs and you already have good item usage, it shouldn't take very long to get used to a pretty decent amount of tracks. If you want to adapt to a difficult track, like maybe a few tracks might take more than an hour, but I feel like most tracks are fairly simple. They should take maybe 20 or 30 minutes to master or get pretty decent lines on.
All right then. Also, I noticed that you have a ton of CT BKTs. Just I think are you second in that behind Russo? Or are you first? I don't remember actually.
In terms of the number,
Yeah.
it would be Luke in first,
Oh,
Russo in
Luke in
second,
first.
and
Okay.
myself in third.
All right. So I don't. What fascinates you about time trialing? Because I'm personally, for me, like I find time trialing kind of frustrating because it's a little bit like if you mess up one thing, your run's kind of done. So like, I don't know. How do you find it very like rewarding, I guess?
It is definitely difficult for people to get into time trialing, but what I feel is I've done time trialing for a long time, not like 100% seriously, but I've mainly been doing it as a course of improvement, and that type of goal in mind dedicated like allowed me to push through and TT for most of 2010 to 2013. And it still fascinates me today because I love the idea of having a record on a track, being able to drive it better than most people in the world, and then be able to show off that skill online and have it potentially help me get to the front.
Uh, and why do you prefer CT time trialing than regular time track? Or I don't know if you do actually, but I'm assuming you do.
I do prefer CTs over regs in most scenarios, but I have been grinding BC3 as of lately. But overall, I mainly do prefer CTs over regs. I do find regs fairly boring after playing them for such a long amount of time before getting CTs in
Yeah.
2013.
I
So I
think
say I've had
the
about a 4 to 5 year balance in between both of them.
Yeah, I think the especially the updates as well. Like you have updates to tracks, you have new tracks. I think that also makes it what makes CT time trialing a little bit more interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun to go strat hunting on new tracks and be able to see what
Yeah.
people can do, what fastest times people can get. It's always fun doing that when a new update comes out.
And then even with like some other tracks, I forgot what track it was. I think there's like this really weird glitch I remember. I think like if you like drive out of bounds, you can somehow teleport up to like the top. I forgot
Ah,
what track
yes,
that was.
this yeah, this
Yeah.
this is Crystal Plains that you're talking about,
Yeah, yeah.
and people actually understand how this works. This was a concept that was found quite some time ago by a Tazer who was doing a tool-assisted free run on Bowser's Castle Wii. So basically, this involves the carpet section from BCW. This was ported
Ah,
over to
okay,
the
okay.
custom track Crystal Plains. How that works essentially, and I don't know why it works like this. If you go anywhere along the carpet and you're in, that if you're on the x-axis basically, it doesn't matter where you are vertically in relation to it. If you're under it, if you're on top of it, as long as you align with it in terms of like horizontally, you're going to be teleported up to it.
Yeah, so if you like cross the x-axis, it doesn't matter what your y-axis is, or yeah, it doesn't matter what your y-axis
Yeah,
is. It just teleports you up there. That is so interesting.
it
Dang.
is.
Holy crap. I actually learned something about Mario Kart Wii today. Dang. Oh my God. So I'm assuming that's how that works for Crystal Plains. That's just
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that is how that works.
What do you
Yes.
think about glitch hunting in general? I know that I remember in the past, I remember a lot of people were very against it, especially because I feel like people thought like glitches would be like, oh, they'll be used online, or like, oh, it like ruins the integrity of the track. But I'm assuming you kind of find it fine, right?
I find it okay for the most part because it definitely brings out something else in time trialing in terms of a new tag to learn or something to do. I do like the idea that most glitches that are like ultra shortcuts or anything don't necessarily work online because Mr. Bean actually has patches that prevent start line glitches from working online. So
Oh yeah.
glitches like Cool
Hmm.
Castle Canyon, Daisy Gardens, Snowy Circuit, the big disco fever glitch. The shortcut still works on that one though, and many others that are mentioned in the CTWL rule set. If I remember correctly.
Are they patched in only worldwides, right?
Yeah,
Or
custom track
okay.
worldwide and friend rooms.
Oh, okay. Also in friend rooms, but they're
Yeah,
still in time trials. So like
yeah,
for
they
people
were.
who are all right. See, that's interesting. That's interesting. It's good to know because I don't know a lot about the time trial community, but I think time trialing is like I actually want to kind of know about them a little bit more because
Yeah,
I find time trials. I remember I was watching Summoning Salt's video, and that was so interesting. I remember him talking about the checkpoint system. I remember I think Bean was also talking about it on his stream at one point
yeah,
before. I think he actually
yeah.
did it for
Bean
Summoning
was like
Salt.
theorizing ultra shortcuts or something on stream or something. I
Yeah,
forget when exactly this was, but he was explaining how all those checkpoints work and what you need to do in order for those to work.
that's so interesting. Time trials are such a fun thing to do.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, they're so interesting. I like the history behind it. Anyways, I guess we can talk about I think you started doing a lot of streaming recently, right?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of streaming and a lot of YouTube. It's definitely something I've wanted to do for a while, and it's finally good to do that, even though I'm going to be a lot more limited in terms of my timing due to junior year of high school.
Oh
Got a
yeah.
lot to work on. Got AP Calc. I got to prepare for my
Oof.
SAT. It's
Yeah.
going to be quite a decent amount to do.
Yeah. I went through that. That is not a fun year. That is a really, really rough year.
Yeah, I
Um,
basically packed up my schedule for this year.
all right. All right, I think that's it. Do you want to like give any shout outs to like your YouTuber stuff?
Yeah, if you guys want to subscribe to my channel, it's Emil595. If you want to follow me on Twitch, EmilP_595. Because, well, why not?
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Yeah. All right, see ya.